Lender and live in the Trustmark studios. It is Captain Criss Turnipseed. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing this morning, Paul?
It's good. I say in our studio. They're actually in your studio, the Public Affairs Division. And this is supposed to be a record-breaking travel holiday. Is that what you hear?
Well, I've read that. I don't know what that's based on, but I'm going to go. I'll agree with you if that's what we're going to go with.
I mean, who actually knows?
I don't know. I mean, how you predict such a thing?
I don't know. But I have no idea.
Maybe these 130-degree days we got are going to make people go out and travel a little bit more. I don't know, Paul.
Yeah. That said, the weather to the west of us is blowing up or going to blow up. I haven't checked the radar lately, but it's supposed to kind of blow up, and around 11 o'clock this morning began to move in across the central part of the state. So it could be some heavy thunder showers, thunderstorms. There's a possibility of some hail in that, so be watching that for a little bit later on this morning. It says in the central part, but it could be others too, so heads up if you're traveling or leaving to go to the beach or somewhere else. So what's any different during this holiday with the Mississippi Highway Patrol?
Well, let's say, it's 2 days of focused, let's say focused enforcement efforts on our highways, just making sure. I mean, we of course, in jest, we do expect a heavier travel period. I mean, for today and tomorrow, of course, being the 4th. I have been out and noticed a lot of folks. Some folks have already had their gatherings on Saturdays and stuff. So when you catch these holidays that are, kind of in the middle of the week, sometimes it presents some strange travel conditions. So you've got most people who are off, get the 4th off, but you got some folks who have to work on Monday, and then I also have to work on Wednesday. So it kind of puts it out there by itself. And you got some folks who just take the whole week off. So it's kind of hard to predict what the travel patterns are. But saying that, we're focusing our enforcement efforts. We started at 6 o'clock this morning, and we're going to go through midnight on the 4th. And for our anticipation, our purposes, we plan to. Those be the 2 days we focus in on for the majority of holiday traffic that we're going to see here in Mississippi. So we've got all hands on deck. We're keeping track of all of our. We always keep track of it, but we're keeping track of totals, crashes, citations issued, arrests made for various different kinds of offenses, just to see. Narrowing that down to the 2 days for the holiday, just to see what that looks like this year.
Let me ask you a couple of questions, just because I always do this when we have an interview, just because people don't catch it sometimes. Number one is seatbelts, and one of the misunderstood things is if you're in the back seat with the kids or adults, it doesn't really matter if it's the age. You have to be buckled up in the state of Mississippi. If you got 2 people in the back seat or 3 people, they have to be buckled up, right or wrong.
Everybody in the vehicle has to have a seatbelt on. I can say this, too. I've actually been on in Highway Patrol long enough to watch that law actually evolve from what it was several years ago to a secondary violation for a front seat occupants to where it is now. It's been come through a few different steps to where now it's a primary stop where if you see someone without a seatbelt on, you can make the traffic stop. And it's front or back seat passengers. So that Mississippi's really did well with bringing that law to full fruition. It is a very important law, a very important thing that we should do every time we get the car.
And I'll tell you this:
paying your insurance. Pay that insurance every month. Is putting that seatbelt on. That's the best life insurance policy you can take out of yourself is wearing that seatbelt, Paul.
We've seen that, especially those of us who have a few years on us. We've seen that go through a period where our fathers of the greatest generation and even baby boomers said, how dare you force us in our car to do something like this? What is this? This is America. and man, we went through, I'm not complaining one way or the other about that, but that was the narrative back then. You you would think that communists form that rule and regulation for some people. And at that particular time, there were a lot of cars that didn't even have seat belts.
Yeah, I've heard that, and my rebuttal to that's always been when somebody tells me it's my car, it's my space, and you know, I should be able to do what I want in my car. Well, I'm saying, well, that's all fine and good, but you know, you're not the one that has to go talk to your wife or your kids or your next of kin and tell them the news that you were thrown out of a car onto the highway. So, or you have to see that result of that crash with you being thrown out of the car. We have to deal with that. Your family has to deal with that. That's just that's a selfish opinion to say, well, you have no right. I mean, you have no right to do that to your family. Would be my rebuttal to that, Paul.
It is one of those things in the dividing line of it's not a constitutional right. It is a privilege, and there are additional rules and regulations come with that privilege. Firearms in the car. When you stop for a seatbelt violation or anything else, should someone who has a firearm in the car or truck immediately tell you or the law enforcement officer stopping them, I have a firearm in the vehicle? I guess I kind of appreciated it when people did that, but there's no law that says that you have to do that. If you've got a permit or something, a lot of times folks will give me an actual permit. There's concealed carry permit, which you don't have to have, for it to be in your car. Mississippi, looks at the car as an extension of your home, the privacy of your home. Most officers, 99 to 100%, which is almost all, are going to treat every traffic stop like there is a gun in the car. So we're really not going to change the way we do business whether you tell us there's one in the car or not, because an officer who is, up to specs on his officer's safety is going to treat that traffic stop like there is a weapon in the car. Anyway, just by the way he stands, positions himself, doesn't give the, occupants in the car a clear view at him just in case there's a gun for a shot. So, no, you don't have to tell them. We appreciate what people do. Usually people that are most honest about things like that, not the people you have to worry about. But we're going to treat every stop like there's a gun there anyway. If I'm up to nefarious reasons or things, I'm not going to tell you I've got a gun in the car. Stephen in Brookhaven had a very good question. Who gets the ticket, the person unbuckled in the back seat or the driver?
The driver does. The driver's responsible for everything that goes on in that car.
Wow. And
that's a crazy law, but, it'll be the driver who gets the ticket. So make sure you ride with somebody who that's going to follow your rules.
Yeah. Or, if I've got
make them get out and walk in his heat a little while. They might get back in. It's okay.
I understand. If I'm going to the store and I got a 6-pack of beer, it's okay in the front seat. But if it's open, then that's another problem. So, open container. How do you define that? Any container that's open, I understand that. But I mean, what if it's a bottle of wine and it's half empty?
Well, Mississippi, the state has no open container law as far as the state goes. Now, that might be something they come back in and look at and visit sometime. But most of these open container laws are in municipalities, towns, and cities and stuff where you've got an open bottle of beer or an open beer can or open wine, and you can be cited or ticketed for it. The state of Mississippi doesn't have an open container law, but I can tell you, if you've got an open can of alcohol in your vehicle, maybe in the cup holder or something like that, you're probably going to be subject to a little bit more of an investigation.
Absolutely.
To make sure that you're not drinking it. So I'll always say, of course you don't drink and drive, but,
Good advice. Good advice. Only got about 30 seconds here, or 15 seconds. Real quickly, your parting shot or parting advice for the drivers out there.
Just like what we're talking about, Paul. If you get in that car and you go and travel, put that seatbelt on, put that phone down, turn that phone off. Don't be looking at it while you drive. Try to observe the posted speed limits and don't. Like I said, if you plan to drink and drive,
don't do it. Captain.
First of all, don't plan to it. Don't do it.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. You guys stay safe out there and have a happy 4th.
Yes, sir, Mr. Paul, we will. Y'all have a great 4th, too, and hope this weather will hold off and everybody have a wonderful 4th.